So cool. The one thing I wanted to stumble across is reference fields. These have been around for ages. We've never used them. There's probably not, most of the time, there's not a case for this. But it does pop up in a couple of places, and I wanted to kind of show it off to everybody so that it's kind of that in your back pocket tool in case it comes up, which it did. It not that long ago. So we were looking into it for version 13. It continues on up through 18. So the way reference fields work is you've got your many-to-one field dropdown that is, hey, I want to look at all the products. Great, here's a list of products. You can search through it. It's that many-to-one relation. Reference fields allow you to pick the table that you're looking through and then have a dropdown to pick something from that table. So they're going to do an example here, and I can show this in the demo environment as well. The biggest use case I see, but there's 3 or 4 places it's used in the source code. The most prominent one is here on menu items where you select an action. So when you click on this link in the menu, what's going to happen? Most of the time it opens up another menu. Sometimes it'll be a client action. Sometimes a server action is going to go off. You can have different options there. So what it shows up as here is a dropdown of the tables, which you'll define on the field. And it says, hey, I want to do a Iron Actions act window that's opened up something new. Once you select that, it opens up another field right next to it where it's now filtering through that table and giving you options from that table. So, and it looks, just like this, just like any other many-to-one field. What it looks like on the back end is this. You're going to create your field, builds out reference, and then you're going to pass in a selection. So what's displayed to the user and what the actual value is, just like any other selection field. And that's going to say which table. And that's it. That's all you got to do. And then it will show up in the UI like that. They'll pick their table, and then it's a many-to-one to pick whatever record from that table you want. So this was the best use case I could find out. The use case for was when you create a new plant that they're growing, it can either be a clone from an existing plant, or it might be from a seed that you've gotten from a vendor or something like that. So you have to specify where the plant came from for the tracking service, and so you select either something from the plants table that we created, where all the plants live, as this is the parent plant, or you have to pick something from inventory, a lot, where it comes from. So this was a case where, hey, you either need something from table A or table B, and we could do it with 2 different fields that are like kind of conditional upon each other, or here where you just select which table and you can make it, show to the user, we could say plant or inventory or whatever. And then they'd pick from the list depending on that. The really cool thing that I thought about this, and this is a better use case that they've got here. Sales reference. What source document did it come from? You could select sales order, purchase order, something else, and then pick which purchase order or which sales order. Or when normally with a field you'd only get you have to pick a sales order, you have to pick a whatever. So flexibility there. What's really cool on the back end is where they give an example, maybe they don't. A little bit here. When you use this field, we're going over some of the index and they don't give any example. When you use this field in the back end, you can just do, in this case, source document dot whatever. It acts just like a many-to-one field. So there's no different syntax you have to use to worry about this field. There is one case that I had to look up on how to, if you wanted to programmatically assign a value to this, there's a little bit of different syntax you have to use because you have to specify the table and then the value within that table. But otherwise, assuming that the front-facing user is entering it in, you can just assume that it is one of the tables from the selection.
Are you able to identify or run checks on what table it's currently assigned?
Good question. So every model in Odoo has that underscore name property, which is set to the table. So you can use that here and it will tell you what table it's associated with. Because it's essentially what the ORM is doing is it's looking at the reference field and it says, okay, here's the table and the value. I'm going to go query the database for that. Here's your new record. But it's in a weird case where you don't actually know what kind of record it is, but you have the record object, just ._name, and then that's your table name, which you can use everywhere. It's just not super useful until there's a case like this where you don't actually know, and now you can find out. The other way you can use it, and this is the way that they've kind of intended it to use, is you can use it in a in kind of an abstract way where you say, okay, I've got an object. I know it's one of these 4 tables, but all these 4 tables, they each have a run method, for example. So you know that you're safe to call the run method and know that it's going to do something. Like for the actions, that's the case there. They all have a run method that actually executes the action. What is that going to do? It's going to be different depending on the type of action that you picked.
But you know you can call that one.
Right, but at the level you're at, you don't care. And that's what's really cool. This follows a concept in programming called polymorphism, which is really, really cool. It doesn't usually apply to Odoo, but this kind of lets us do that. Like I said, this is kind of a niche scenario. It's not going to come up a lot, but I wanted to kind of bring it up. So, to my back pocket.